Hello and welcome. We are starting with lesson 2 in geometry unit, Foundations for College Math, grade 12. And today we are going to talk about how to find the areas and perimeters in 2D shapes. And in our problems, we will have to convert from one unit measurement to the other. So from standard unit measurements or SI system to imperial system and vice versa. So here we have a chart that actually summarizes all the formulas for various geometric shapes. We're going to look at geometric shapes and combinations of them, or as we call them, composite shapes. So we're going to start with the first example. We have to convert the area of this geometric shape into feet squared. So as you can see, we are given a rectangle. And how I know that it's a rectangle is because I see that all angles here are 90 degrees. And it's not any special rectangle, it's just a regular rectangle because I see that the width and the length are of different measurements. So if they were the same, then it would have been a special rectangle or a square. Now, to find the area of a rectangle, we know that we can use the formula area equals length times width. And we can give this the name length and this one here the width. And first, I will attempt to find the area in meters squared. So that would be 5.1 times 6. And 5.1 times 6 would be 30.6 meters squared. Now we want to convert this from meters squared to feet squared, and for this we are going to have to use the conversion tables that were given in the lesson prior to this one, so U3A1. So just to refresh your memory, when it comes to conversions, we want to look at, so this is your U3A1 that we did together, and since we want to convert meters into feet, we have to look at the chart and see where the feet is connected to meters. So we have 1 foot equals 0.3048 meter. So 1 foot equals 0.3048 meters, we said? Yes, meters. So because we are converting meters squared into feet squared, we're going to need to find a connection between the two. And remember how we explained it in the previous lesson. So if we want the squared, so we're going to square 1 square foot squared equals 0.3048 squared meters squared. So let's get started with what we are given first. We're going to say that 30.6 meters squared is an unknown amount of feet squared. So we're going to call that x. Now, 1 foot squared, on the other hand, would equal 0.3048 squared meters squared. So with this, we have created, or we create an equation, a fraction on each side connected by the equal sign, and we'll have 30.6. Instead of 0.3048 squared, you can find or write the value of it. I would keep it in this form because it keeps the answer more accurate. And if you square it, then you will get a bigger number to write, or not a bigger number necessarily, but more digits I needed to use to describe this number. So we have 290304, but for some people this is more useful. It makes more sense, so you can do that. That's x divided by 1. And from here we simply cross multiply. I like to cross multiply first the numbers where x is located, which means these two, and keep them on the left side. So this will be 0.09290304x equals 30.6 times 1. And to isolate x from its coefficient, we will have to divide both sides by the coefficient 0.09290304. So x equals 329.375 feet squared. And if you want to round to the nearest one decimal, that would be 329.4 feet squared. Okay, so just like we did this question, now we are going to move on to another one, but this time we're looking into a triangle. So we have to convert yards into meters squared. So remember that there are two ways to actually answer this question. You can convert 9 yards into meters and convert 6.4 yards into meters first and then find the area. Or you can find the area and then make only one conversion, yards squared into meters squared. So as I said, option 1, convert each length first and then find the area. Or you can use option 2, which means you find the area and convert the area. Okay? Now, let's get started now with option number 2. That's the same option that we used in the previous question. So the area of a triangle equals base times height divided by 2. So the base in this case is 9. The height is 6.4. 9 times 6.4 over 2. I like the second option only because it allows me to make only one conversion, whereas in here I have to convert every measurement. So when it comes to more composite shapes, if we have more conversions, then it will be even more complicated that way. That's why. So we have 9 times 6.4 divided by 2, 1.3. And this would be in yards squared. That's the area of the triangle. So now we are converting from yards to meters squared. So when I look at the chart, I see 1 yard equals 0.9144 meters. Oh, sorry. Which means 1 yard squared would be 0.9144 squared meters squared. So what we have is 1.3 yard squared, and we want to convert into meter square, which we don't know, so we call it x. So create the equations. We have 1 divided by 1.3 equals, again, you can square this or you can just leave it in this form. And I'm going to leave it in squared form in here to simplify the calculations. And let's do it differently than we did in the previous question. And we multiply x by 1, and then 1.3 by 0.9144 squared. So 0.9144 squared times 1.3 is 1.0869. And that would be in meters squared. If you want to round this to the nearest 2 decimals, it would be about 1.09 meters squared. And that would be the area of this triangle. Now we're moving on to another example. This time we're looking at a trapezoid. It's the exact same strategy. Now, as I said before, we can either convert each measurement to feet, so from meter to feet, and then find the area in feet squared. We can find the area in the unit measurements as given, and then convert the area at the end in feet squared. You see that here we will have to do 3 conversions if we chose the option of converting the lengths first and then find the area. Whereas if you find the area in meters squared, you only do one conversion at the end. So the area of a trapezoid is, remember, trapezoid has two bases. The two sides that are parallel to each other are called the bases A and B. And the line that connects the two bases and is perpendicular to them is the height. So this will be the height. Area of the trapezoid is the average of the bases, so A plus B divided by 2 multiplied by the height, because it is a quadrilateral, right? So it's kind of similar to the area of a rectangle where we have length times width or base times height in a parallelogram, etc., etc. But because the two bases are of different length, then we have to take the average of the two. So let's substitute. We have the base 2.3 plus 7.9 divided by 2 multiplied by the height, which is 4.6. So that would be 2.3 plus 7.9, that's 10.2 over 2 times 4.6. So 10.2 over 2, that's 5.1, and then times 4.6, so that would be 23.46 meters squared. So this would be the area in meters squared, so we want to find the area in feet squared. And notice how I've misspelled convert everywhere. So we're going to say that we need conversions between meters and feet. So check the chart. Meter to feet, we have to go to the length. We have 1 foot equals 0.3048 meters. So which means that 1 foot squared would be 0.3048 squared meters squared. So we're given meters squared in here, so we're going to write 23.46 meters squared. And this will be unknown, obviously, here, x feet squared. And we create the fractions just like we always do when we convert. And the equation that connects the two fractions, so the equal sign, and we'll have 1 over x equals 0.3048 squared divided by 23.46. Cross multiply, and we have 0.3048 squared multiplied by x equals 1 times 23.46. So x equals 23.46 divided by 0.3048 to the power of 2. So 23.46 divided by 0.3048 to the power of 2 is 252.5. And that will be in feet squared. 0.5. And that's the answer. That's the area of a trapezoid in feet squared. And here is the area in meters squared. So the last question is in the shape of a circle. We have the area actually this is the answer, by the way, in meters squared, and we need to find out what the area will be in feet squared. So first we're going to find the area in meters squared. Area of a circle, pi r squared, pi times 9 squared would be 81 pi meters squared, or approximately to 1 decimal place would be 81 times pi equals 254.5 meters squared. Since we want to convert to feet squared, again, it's the same procedure. We're going to say 1 foot is 0.3048 meters. We get this from the chart, from the table, unit conversions. Therefore, 1 square foot squared is 0.3048 squared meter squared. So therefore, we're going to say that 254.5 meters squared would equal x feet squared. Create the fractions. And we'll have 0.3048 squared x equals 1 times 254.5. So 254.5 divided by 0.3048 squared will give the area in feet squared. So divide that by 0.3048 to the power of 2. I got 2,739.1, and this will be in feet squared. Okay, so this is how we convert unit measurements in some basic shapes. And in the next part of the lesson, we are going to take a look at some more interesting or composite shapes. So please follow with the second part of the lesson. Bye for now.